Alright, I already did 2 other videos about the cut content for Call of Duty Zombies. One was about the cut maps and one was about the cut weapons and wonder weapons too. But there's still a lot of cut content for all the zombie modes. So for today's video, which I think will be much longer than the cut weapons video, so I'm going to be talking about the extra stuff and also the other stuff that I missed out. Some of you point out in the comments that I missed on some extra weapons, so I'm going to be talking about them in this video too. What's going to be different about this video is I'm going to be talking about all the zombie modes, so from World at War to the modern one we have now, Modern Warfare Z. Get ready for a long video just like with the cut weapons. My bad if I made it very long, but I guess some of you guys really enjoyed that video too. Before I get into the cut content, I'm going to say something about my channel first. In my Black Ops 2 video, I started a SubGoal. The SubGoal was to hit 5k, so when I hit that mark, I'm going to do a Q&A stream. So it will be my first stream for this channel. Well, I think I want to hit it around towards the end of August, so practically in 2 months. I would prefer if I hit it earlier. Right now I'm sitting at 2k subscribers, so I would appreciate any new viewers or any returning viewers who subscribe right now, and to check out my other stuff too. But with that out of the way, let's go back into the video. World at War. For World at War, there was supposed to be another game mode. Despite being survival mode, another game mode called Payload. This game mode was that players would have to escort a payload under time pressure. And if they didn't, well, the game will fail, obviously. The script and the map file can be found in the mod tools. And with the map file, this would suggest that there will only been specific maps designed for this game mode. Now, I did say in the other video with the cut maps that we were supposed to get a lot of maps for World at War, but end up getting cut out. A payload would have been mostly used for all these maps. There's no screenshots of this game mode, but there is one that shows that what would the text would have shown if this game mode was playing. So I'm going to show it to you. It's going to be up in the screen. It just would have been like any basic payload game mode for any other thing, but instead with zombies now. It would have been really a cool game mode, but it's also showing too that some of the developers back in the day were still trying to make new game modes for the early zombies games. Because later on, with the few new game modes we only got, well, they only started with Black Ops 2 with Churn and Grief. It seems like they wanted to do a work on this, something similar to new game modes from all the way back from World at War. And on the topic of Churn, well, apparently there was another game mode, or they're probably in the plans of doing it, but there was player-controlled zombies. Probably this was the primitive version of Churn back in the day. Probably, because there was a separate script that the player will become zombified. So it would give the player the brains weapon. I didn't mention this in the other list, but here it is, the brains weapon. It's basically the perspective of what the zombies see. And the animation is fully kitted out, as you can see brief moments of it in the Varrook trailer. But also too, I've seen this before, not with console commands or when it was cut, because when there was a lot of hackers on World at War for the Xbox 360, you could pick up this weapon. Pretty sure some of you have seen this weapon too. That's the only way to access it from the console commands. While having the brains type of weapon, it will set their movement speed to 30% and cause all zombies to ignore that player that just recently became a zombie. But with the zombified player becoming down, they can be revived by other player zombies, as it's quoted inside the wiki. And there's a splash of text when you become zombified. I have it in the thumbnail, but you can see it here too. It says that you have joined the undead. It is still unknown if this was for a gameplay feature or a new game mode altogether. Probably wasn't the works of the game mode, but they probably just repurposed it just for the trailer for Rook. Later on, they probably kept this in the back burner just for waiting for the right game in order to put this game mode, which was in Black Ops 2 with the Churn mode. So those are the game modes out of the way. We were supposed to get 2 enemies in World at War. One was called the Crawler Zombie. The model remains in the file games, and also too, you can see a brief glimpse of it when you go in the teleporter from Derice. The Crawler Zombie is a precursor to the Nova 6 zombie from Black Ops 1. This early iteration of the Crawler Zombie was planned to release in the map pack 4 with the theater map, which was back in the day Skinner to Tilton, as Skinner to Tilton was supposed to release for World at War, which was repurposed for Black Ops 1. So the model was changed altogether, as the Crawler Zombie just looks like a regular zombie with a regular face that's just on force. With the Nova 6 zombie, I'm glad they changed it, which makes it more unique. Since we're on the topic of crawler zombies, we were supposed to get a specialized round, like the dog rounds, for these type of zombies. Basically, just imagine the ones from Die Rise of those type of crawlers. I think it would probably be something similar to that for those specialized rounds, but end up getting cut. And same thing for Black Ops 1, that when you turn on the power, the crawler zombies start coming out of the roof. They basically join on the normal type of zombies. Their zombie, which was supposed to be intended for a boss zombie, was called the Engineer. All of it remains in the game files, and also too, you can see it in the Vanos video too. It's the one with the Collingwood video. It's in the section where Wildcat gets really badly touched. But that is the model of the Engineer Zombie for that map pack of what Vanos played. The Engineer Zombie was also repurposed in Dead Ops Arcade, and you can see the model right here too. But the Engineer Zombie was supposed to be intended for the Coast map, but we already know the Coast map ended up getting cut altogether. But for the framework and for the Coast map, all of that was reworked into Call of the Dead, and the Engineer Zombie was reworked into George Romero. Now on to Shinonuma. There was some stuff that were cut out from Shinonuma, like we were supposed to get a 5th perk machine. This perk machine is called the Ammo-Matic. It seems like they were almost done finishing this perk machine, as there's a texture sheet and all the 4 main characters will talk about it whenever they see it. And so I'm going to play all their audio files too.
Max Ammo Machine. Ah, genius. An ammo machine! What a brilliant idea!
Ammo machine! What a wonderful idea!
Ah! This is a blessing from the Emperor!
For the Ammo-Matic, it's just basically a max ammo machine. You just pay for the perk and you're able to get all the ammo back from your weapons. I don't know how much the price would have cost, but I'm pretty sure it would have been expensive considering it's a max ammo machine. But some custom zombie maps use the Ammo-Matic machine. You can see the machine in some modded maps for World at War. And for Shinonuma, we were supposed to get 4 different perk machines. Well, they're not different, the textures of them are really different, as they represent more of the Swamp Thing level. I'll show you the texture sheets on the screen. I have no clue why they didn't want to add this, because they're almost done with it, but it would have been really cool because we just added more flair to the map. There's some mods that allow the texture sheet into Shinonuma, but you have to find them on your own. And the different textures also influence the future perk machine textures. As some maps have different textures for the perk machines. One that comes to my head is Mob of the Dead. There's cut voice lines talking about the random perk machines that you'll get each time when you open the main 4 doors in Shinonuma. And like with the other one, I'm gonna show them to you.
Oh, now that's freaking fair, ain't it? What's it going to be this time?
It will become the machine it is supposed to become.
I wonder which one it will be this time.
Again, this was weirdly taken out for no reason, as the file was already there and they're already fully voice acted. They probably just said like, doesn't matter, we're already done with the map, it's not really needed. And there was a couple of traps that were cut out for Shinonuma. They all have voice lines to them. One was supposed to be a guillotine apparently that blocks off a certain part of the map, secluding the player to a limited area. They failed to get to that window of escaping that area. Barrel, which would have been a fire-based trap, says on the wiki there's limited information on this. Me and pure speculation, it would probably have been something like an oil spill type of trap, where it lights up only that specific area and that's about it. Almost like the fire trap from Kino Telton. I think it would have been something similar to that. Battery, which is an electric base trap, but like again with the barrel, not much is known about the information. But it says on the wiki that it was cut in favor of the zappers like the ones from Farouk. This electric base trap was totally different from the zappers, so we might not have no clue what it was for. Once again, on pure speculation, I think it would have been used for the large bodies of water around the map. That once you activate this trap, it probably would have shocked the water and killed a lot of zombies with it. It is unknown why they took it out, but I think to me most likely they probably took it out because a lot of the players are dumb and are probably going to die a lot to this trap. I think that's one reason why they took it out. The last trap for Shinonuma was called the Chopper. It was a trap intended to cut zombies down. A pretty straightforward trap. Every main character has a voice line for all these traps. Well, I'm going to play them all for you.
Bullshit! Come on! I'm gonna make a pile of maggot ash! Amp it up! Chop and fly, freak bags! Of course this is now in my way! I should probably get out of the way. Ah, good. I won't have to use my vodka. This will take care of them. All chopped up and everywhere to go.
I was not fast enough. I need to get through this quickly. They will all burn. This will take care of them. They will be cut into 1,000 pieces.
I was not fast enough! I must move quickly, before it closes! They will all burn! Oh, this is going to be so fun! They will be cut into 1,000 pieces! Yay!
Lastly, there was a safe version for Dempsey.
Come on!
I guess it would have been probably used for the graphic content restriction, as it says in the wiki, or probably been used for something else entirely. And so those are all the traps for Shinonuma. There was one more trap that was cut out, but it was intended for the theater map, and we already know this, it's the auto turret. Supposed to come out with the theater map for DLC 4 for World at War, but ended up getting reworked to Kino Tilton. So those are all the cut traps. For Durice, 2 things about this. They're gonna be really quick anyways. This is about the unused voice lines for Durice. I'm not gonna play the voice clips as they're just placeholder voice lines. So before they get the main actor, so they get reference of what they're gonna say for their character. And there's 78 unused voice lines from these 5 different actors. Again, these were just placeholders before the main actors came along. For the second part, for the Cutting Floor wiki, it talks about that there was cut areas in Durice. Cut areas might have been buyable areas that you could buy, but they were cut towards the last minute, or didn't have enough time to work on them, but they're still there as there's some remnants of these rooms in there. These are 2 pictures for Durice. Also too, I forgot to mention, there's also a hidden room in Baroque. You can only access it through console commands of no clipping. That's about it. And also for Shinonuma, there was unseen text that you can only see if you no clip. Pretty sure mostly everyone saw this, as back in the day this is when zombies were taking off in the lore. It's the hut, the one that says Tunguska on it. It's referencing the Tunguska event when the meteor hit Russia. It's also reference the 115 meteor hitting Russia. Not for Ascension, but before the story went all convoluted and complicated. 3 things before I end off the World at War section. There's a script file intended for the Hellhounds, as apparently they would have been able to hop the walls. This is an animation code. It was probably intended for 2 things. One, that probably the dogs were supposed to spawn at the same areas with the zombies, or have the dogs take the barriers as shortcuts in order to be able to kill us. But again, this was cut for unknown reasons. Now for these 2 topics, I forgot to mention them in the cut weapons video. I'm going to mention them here. For the normal weapons, we were supposed to get an M3 grease gun. It's been the same one from Call of Duty 2. Another weapon but with an attachment was the Mosin Nagant with a grenade launcher. but it is very unfinished and it looks like it's not even used at all, even though there's pictures of it on the wiki. Now for the cut Pack-a-Punch variants, there was 4 of them. One was called the Eviscerator that was intended for the Arasaka, and apparently it was canon at an early stage of the game, as there's no engravings on it or it doesn't even have the Pack-a-Punch camo on it. There's a Pack-a-Punch variant of the Mozu-Nagant, and it was unnamed and even untextured too. You only obtain it through console commands. And the other one too is for the Springfield, one of the worst guns in Call of Duty history in zombies. This one was unnamed like the Mozu-Nagant, as there's no Pack-a-Punch variant name for it, and even for the textures of it. And lastly, the last Pack-a-Punch variant was for the double barrel shotgun. It was called the Snuff Box. This one was completely finished. They probably forgot to code it in, as they were probably doing last finishing touches with Derice, so it's most likely they forgot to put this weapon in the game. You can still obtain it through modding or console commands. Oh yeah, I forgot one more thing, we were supposed to get kill streaks in the first Zombies mode too. It's only one kill streak, as basically World at War is just a reskin of Call of Duty 4. This one was called Mortar Rounds, as you were able to call mortars around the area, and it would probably kill a bunch of zombies too outside of the barriers. It would have cost 2,000 points in order to buy mortar rounds. It was completely cut altogether because it was extremely overpowered. The two had a large blast radius, so it probably would have killed the players too. So those are all the stuff for World at War. Now we're going to Black Ops 1. Black Ops 1. Black Ops 1 had some cut perks that were supposed to be intended for the game. There were 6 cut perks. And also too, there was a cut mechanic that you were supposed to be able to upgrade the perks for Perk Revive, Juggernaut, and Speed Cola. First, let's talk about the cut perks. One cut perk was called Boom Juice. It would have been something similar to PhD Flopper. Basically, Boom Juice got reworked into PhD Flopper, as it's very similar to it, as there's quotes to it saying that the perk can make the player make an explosion. Probably just would have used the PhD Flopper when you belly flop and basically cause a small explosion, and that was probably it. And this perk was intended for Ascension. There's another perk called BPT Boom, been something similar to Boom Juice, and again this was cut from Ascension. And like with Boom Juice, there is some cut quotes to this perk. Another perk called Pronade. Apparently this would have affected the player's prone. As it says in the wiki that this perk would have affected the player's jump and prone in some sort of way. It's still a little bit confusing about this perk, as we're only going based off the cut quotes. Probably this would have been a useless perk, as it could basically help you go prone faster or even jump faster, or make you able to double jump. But again, this perk was intended for Ascension but was cut altogether. And lastly, for the perks for Ascension, there was a perk called Turf Brew. It is unknown what this perk would have done. We're only going based off the quotes, and it seems like it would probably have been something similar to Juggernaut, to me in my opinion. The characters have something to say that affects their health. But again, this was planned for Ascension but was cut altogether. And this is the last of the sound files for all the cut perks. There's still 2 more. Since I talk about all the cut perks for those 4 quotes, I'm going to play all the cut quotes.
Boom Juice! Hell yeah, that drink is made just for me! This has texture like oil painting.
Like a kamikaze on a hot day.
The drink that makes you go boom! Ha
DTP Boom! Yeah! This drink is pretty good, but it's so hard to swallow.
Ah, now this is satisfying.
ha! I go boom now!
Ah, yeah, that's good stuff. Those monkeys are stealing my jumping juice! Hey, that's a little bit like beer. No, the monkeys are stealing my stuff!
I think this was rotten. They are taking the boom brew.
With this, I can go down even quicker. 9! The dirty, hairy little men things are taking my things.
Tough brew! That's what I'm talking about! This drink goes down like glue.
A drink for a true warrior.
Oh yeah, maybe this will toughen me up.
So those were all the cut quotes. Now we're going to talk about the 2 other extra perks. One was called Candelier, and this perk would have been probably something similar to the Bandolier perk from Call of Duty 4 and at World at War. There's only a perk icon and the minimap icon that exists, but I'm going to show you the perk icon, and also 2 string of text too. It's unknown why this perk was cut. The last perk that was cut from Black Ops 1 was called Damage-Aid, and the icon for it appears to be similar to Double Tap, but it differs. On the wiki it says that it would probably have been something similar to Stopping Power from multiplayer. So those are all the cut perks. There was something else that was supposed to be added for the perks for Quick Revive, Juggernaut, and Speed Cola as upgraded perks. The only thing that exists for them is the HUD icons. For this, it probably could have doubled the effects or done something else, adding an extra perk to them. But we may never know, as well they cut it out. From World at War, I did say that they're going to implement kill streaks to it, as they were going to add mortar rounds to it. Well, for Black Ops 1, they were going to do the same thing to it, but they were going to add several kill streaks to zombies. Some of them don't have working scripts, but they were intended to be bought through the walls. Kill streaks are the RCXD, which will be called the RC Bomb for zombies. The radar, it is unknown what this is used for. Dogs, as you were able to spawn attack dogs in order to hunt down the zombies. Chopper Gunner, Napalm Airstrike, and another Airstrike, which is just the normal one. This shows how much that they've been wanting to add kill streaks for the game for a very long time. Up until Cold War, when we finally got the kill streaks. It is weird that what maps were going to be intended to this, as some of the maps are really closed off and small for Black Ops 1. There's some big open areas, but probably that's why they probably moved the kill streaks, as they probably had to redesign every map. They ended up just taking it out. There's a little extra note on the kill streak. You were supposed to get rewards with the kill streaks after every versus mode. As for Black Ops 1, there was an intended supposedly another game mode for it, and from the wiki it appears to be something similar to Grief. This was cut out and probably reworked into the Grief mode we have in Black Ops 2. From the wiki, apparently it says that there were supposed to be Hellhounds in the 5 map, but they were cut out for no reason, but the sound files are still there. Since on the topic of 5, apparently there were some unused rooms on the map. These rooms were probably viable rooms, but they ended up getting cut out at the last minute. Some of them still have models around and decorations around the rooms too. That probably had to do since 5 was a direct reuse asset from the campaign when the Pentagon level, as they're just basically the same with just some minor differences around, and are almost done with the cut portion for Black Ops 1. But there was one wonder weapon I forgot to mention. Apparently there was an unused model of the Winter's Howl. There's no animations of it, but it appears to be almost like a rifle or something similar to a flamethrower for the Winter's Howl. Kinda surprised that they haven't reused this model for any future wonder weapons, but probably we'll get to see it one day. And one more thing before I end off Black Ops 1. I did a video talking about the censorship in Call of Duty Zombies. I said that it was up until Black Ops 3 where they fully took out the name of the original name out of Zombies. Check out that video too after when you're done with this one. But I did say that it was up until that game that they fully removed it, but I was wrong, as there was a cutscene for Black Ops 1 for the Nocturne Totem. Because when it was released for Resurrection, they changed the outro and removed the name altogether, just only keeping the word of Zombies. So it seems that they were planning on removing this name up until Black Ops 1. As well, it was going outside of the portion of the German experiments. That's when it's changed it. But it was probably just a placeholder, as the wiki says, that for some of the zombie maps that don't have a loading screen. Yeah, I completely forgot there's still 3 more things about the Black Ops 1 portion. Apparently for the scrap Vietnam map, we were supposed to get 3 different types of zombies. One was called the smokescreen zombie. The zombie was covered up and had boils of the Agent Orange nerve agent. The smoke that emits from the body was supposed to obscure the player's field of view and make the zombie stronger. Apparently for the game mechanic, they wanted to make these guys able to dodge your bullets, as well they stagger a lot, make them much harder to hit and allow their smoke to spread. If you go close to it, well, you're able to go blind and impair your vision. Love how in the concept art it gives us tips on how to take out this persona of zombie that was supposed to appear in the game. It's way better to take it from afar, not up close, but if you're gonna do up close, it says use a flamethrower. Which again, I said in my other video that they cut the flamethrower altogether. It was probably a good thing the zombie was removed, because I think a lot of players would be very annoyed by it. Third cut zombie, which was called the SWAT zombie. It was supposed to be a martial artist zombie. From the description of the concept art, it seems more of a mini boss to it. The zombie is able to dodge the bullets and even try to trick the player into leading the shot. Apparently when it hits you very fast. Apparently from the concept art, it was intended for the zombie to use its knees and elbows in order to hit you. I'm guessing this would be a hard-hitting zombie, as it's a martial artist. On the bottom of the tips for the concept art, it says that it's the best way to take it out is with an explosive. It says here if you don't have an explosive or you're cornered, well, good luck. This mini-boss zombie seems a lot worse than the George Romero boss. Well, probably a good thing it wasn't implemented in Black Ops 1, as Black Ops 1 has a reputation with the weapons going a little bit worse after round 35. So I can imagine finding the zombie on higher rounds. It would be like hell. It would be really cool if we get to see the zombie in the future. It's really a cool idea for it, and it would be really cool for a mini-boss. And lastly, we were supposed to get the zombie oxen. This oxen would be affected by the Agent Orange type of nerve agent. Apparently in the concept art, what they wanted intended for the gameplay, the Agent Orange increases their mutation of making them have high muscle definition. So in a way, they were going to make these guys very hard to hit, and very hard to kill. Probably for the Vietnam map, these guys were supposed to replace the Hellhound rounds. They were probably going to do Oxen rounds, but probably this might have been another mini-boss too that joins the field. Because on the bottom, apparently they wanted to do different variants of it. One was just a regular oxen, one had a broken horn, one was dragging a demolished cart, and one was supposed to carry a zombie driver. Lastly, the last variant was supposed to have multiple oxen due in stampede. Again, this was probably most likely intended for a special round or probably a mini-boss. These are all cut out because they were all intended for the Vietnam map. Now, some of these were not reworked into the final map of Shangri-La, as they combined Vietnam and also the temple map into Shangri-La. Maybe one day in the future installment of zombies, we get to see all these zombies. Pretty sure we've seen the zombie oxen before, they probably changed it, because in Dead Ops Arcade 2 they have the bull zombie, but I think that's something else different, so I might be wrong on that. But anyways, those are all the cut content for Black Ops 1. Now on to Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2 had a lot of cut game modes for the specific best and worst map ever, Transit. All these game modes were cut due to memory limitations. Some of these game modes were supposed to be playable on the few sections of the larger map on Transit before the whole thing got axed and small down to size. Apparently there were some areas that had additional props and glowing signs and specific barriers. But again, due to hardware limitations, they were all cut down. One game mode was called Cleanse. The game mode was supposed to be intended for to outlast the other players on your team. Dead players will become zombies and the game ends with only one player is left standing, so technically a free-for-all. Another game mode called Containment. Stay alive for as long as you can and prevent zombies from escaping. The game ends when one team survives, and it was planned to be played on the Nocturne Tilde map on the subsection of Transit. Another game mode called Deadpool. Apparently for this mode, you were supposed to reach the end before your teammates. Apparently there was a cut weapon or cut equipment called Meat that was supposed to be used in this mode. Since on the topic of meat, there was a game mode called Meat. You grab the meat and you throw it, and zombies will only attack you if your team side has that meat. So in a sense, hot potato. If we're talking about the meat game mode, it was supposed to be part of the equipment. Apparently it's supposed to be something similar to a monkey bomb, as it will attract the zombies. But that's about it. The next game mode called No Man's Land. Survive endless wave of multiple enemy types, and the game ends when all players dies. Another game mode called Pitted. Survive endless wave of multiple enemy types, game ends when one team survives. Another game mode called Race. Kill the necessary amount of zombies to open the door and reach the end. First team to survive or reach the end wins. And apparently the meat equipment was supposed to be part in this mode. Lastly, the last game mode called Returned. There's nothing known about this game mode, but it probably had to do something with churn or something else entirely, I'm not really sure. But those are all the cut game modes for Transit. There's nothing else after that. There are some unused graphics for the game. Well, they're created class icons. There's two that were specific for zombies. One was the jet gun, which shows the created class icon, and the other one was the ray gun. But all these were later used for the Call of Duty Elite app. It's still weird for Black Ops 2 to have these created class icons for these two wonder weapons, as they did nothing else with it. For Black Ops 2, there was another thing that was cut out or not even intended for the game, as there was a lot of unused text, and some of these were ported over from the older COD games, including some from the first one. Most of these were from the Treyarch games from World at War and Black Ops 1. I'm going to show you some of the string of the text because some of them are weird. Some of them have the description of the cut game modes, and some of them have even the cut description what seems like to be for a tutorial level or even a tutorial mode of how to play zombies. Probably I'm reading into them too much, as probably some of these were supposed to appear in the loading screen as the tooltips of what to do and for the tips of how to help you out. As some of these were supposed to appear in Black Ops 1 at World at War, but were seen in Black Ops 2 as unused text. Some of them are weird text, like one of the texts says Manhattan down. I have no clue what that can be used for. Probably, I'm gonna read into it too much, probably a reference to the Kaboom, as the reference to the Manhattan Project, as the Kaboom model looks like the one as the Fat Man nuke that was dropped on Japan. It's probably a reference to that, or something else entirely. But there's still another text from Black Ops 1 that was unused. It was called Cosmo Apocalypse. I guess this is a reference to the moon map with the Cosmonauts zombie, but I don't know. First I thought I had to do the reference with the Cosmic Silverback from Dead Ups Arcade, but I think that's probably the one from Moon with the astronauts. But probably I'm reading it too much, as the wiki says that they're just placeholders. But they probably could have been used for something else too, but before they cut them all out. But before I end with the Black Ops 2 section, I'm going to briefly talk about the pre-alpha footage for zombies, as there's only a screenshot of it on the wiki. But I did hear somewhere else that you could find videos of it. All of them have been weirdly taken down. So maybe one day we'll get to see the pre-release footage, probably will get released online, or probably someone will upload a video on it. But that's for Black Ops 2. And also too, before I mention, if I don't mention a game in the series like Advanced Warfare, it only had one cut zombie weapon in that was the sword. So I'm gonna skip over to Black Ops 3. So that's just a heads up. Anyways, on to Black Ops 3. Black Ops 3. For Black Ops 3 zombies, there was supposed to be customization for the characters, but they're really cut out as they were only shown in pre-alpha footage, as there's some screenshots about them. Is that every zombie character would have supported customizable outfits through the normal means of gaining XP. Some of the icons for the Primus characters that were fully rendered from Black Ops 2, but for the Shadow of Evil characters they were taken from concept art. But most likely, since this was in the era of supply drops, these outfits are not probably going to be earned by XP. They were probably going to be bought out from the supply drop system. But we got the Liquid Divinium in order to make Gobblegum's system. But this customized character will only return back in Black Ops 4. As for that one, you're able to customize some parts of the characters. And for Black Ops 3, we're supposed to get a difficulty meter too. Apparently in the pre-alpha footage or the pre-alpha phase, you were able to select 3 different types of difficulties, each being harder than the last. The first one was called Survivor, which would probably been the normal one. The other one was called Hunter, and the last one was called Exterminator. And it was planned to be one of the most hardest difficulties in this game. Probably following the echoes of Black Ops 2 with custom games, as you were able to switch the difficulty from original and easy. But this was cut out for unknown reasons and will only make a return back in Black Ops 4. And there is a cut pack-a-punch variant type of ammo. It was called Honey Business. It has leftover sound files, but it's probably the same sound files used from the Hive attack from multiplayer, as apparently this alternate ammo type would release a bunch of bees and decapitate the zombies. It really sounds like a cool ammo type, but it was cut out for unknown reasons. But they probably could have just made a reskin of the Hive attack from that one operator multiplayer and then called it a day, but I think they want to do something else with it. Maybe one day someone release a mod map and have this alternate ammo type. For Gobblegums, there were several that were cut out from the game. They're called Brainiac, Center of Attention, Firestarter, Melee Mash, and Toxic Vindicator. Some of these might have been reworked and renamed into the current roster of Gobblegums we have now, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. Since we're on the topic of Gobblegums, you know Liquid Divinium? Apparently they were called something else. They were called the Let It Ride tokens. They function the same way of how you obtain them in the game with Liquid Divinium as you buy stuff and explore the zombie map. They were redeemable for the Mega Chew Bubble Blast, which was called the earlier version of the Gobblegum. But they replaced the name to Liquid Divinium, which sounds way cooler than Let It Ride tokens, because Let It Ride tokens sounds something else. Lastly, the last cut thing for Black Ops 3 was in Revelations. It has to do something with the announcer. For that one we have Samantha, but apparently for Revelations we were supposed to get Dr. Monty and the Shadow Man as the announcers for that game. But they were really cut out for unknown reasons, but the files are there. Probably a forgotten code in that once you complete the Easter egg it plays either the Dr. Monty or the Shadow Man announcer, but that's all pure speculation for me. But anyways, I'm gonna play the voice clips for you.
Kaboom! Bonus points. Carpenter. Double points. Fire sale. Insta-kill. Minigun.
Max ammo. Bonus points. Carpenter. Double points. Fire sale. Insta-kill. Minigun.
And so those are all the cut things for Black Ops 3. Now we're gonna go into Infinite Warfare. Infinite Warfare, there was a cut Easter egg for the first map of Zombies in Spaceland. This was a planned Easter egg that made the zombies wear space helmets. Seems like they didn't have enough time to finish it or probably forgot about it. The only way to do this Easter egg is to go to round 6000. Well, that's an impossible round to reach unless you're cheating. But it's unknown how the Easter egg would have been triggered. Still, it is not finished as when you shoot the zombies' heads, like it says in the wiki, they float off in the air and, well, their heads don't pop off. And that the helmets would disappear too. Screenshot of it, but I think there's a video on it you can find online. Also, there was unattainable perks, and there's quotes too of all the characters talking about them. As well, they're not unattainable in the maps. For Shaolin Shuffle, the perk Slappy Tap cannot be obtained by normal means. In the attack of the radioactive thing, the perk Trailblazer cannot be purchased in the map, but can still be unattained via the Skill Hop side quest. I'm gonna play all the quotes for them.
I'ma slap the stank off of somebody around here. Let's burn this town to the ground.
Because sometimes you just have to slap the shit out of someone. More than once. I just hope this doesn't burn a hole through my underpants. I didn't bring a backup.
I'm ready to slap the shit out of somebody. Yeah, let's burn rubber, baby.
This sounds like a good time in a box. And that's my kind of party. I'm like a human hot rod over here. Woo! That sounds like a superhero. A guy could get used to that.
And so those are all the cut stuff for Infinite Warfare. Now on to Black Ops 4. Black Ops 4. For Black Ops 4, there was 2 cut game modes, and they were scrapped altogether. One was Greed from Black Ops 2, which was basically the same thing, just for Black Ops 4. But the other one was called Treyarch Custom Mutations, as this was a planned game mode that would offer specialized modes for each type of map, and have custom mutations for them. The mutations would swap out and rotate every week, only for that specific zombies map. Now these 2 were cut out for unknown reasons. The other cut thing was called the Mutant Cookbook. It was announced for zombies but was quietly scrapped for unknown reasons. It would have been gave you the ability to craft elixirs and talisman, and there's some code of it still in the game, but you will only see the menu icon for it. But another big thing that was cut out was that they were going to put factions in the game. You were allowed to get seasonal rewards such as calling cards and cosmetics by completing some of the things exclusive for that faction. There's 4 primary factions for the game: Bloodfaith, Tempest Nove, Dustborn, and the First Legion. It was planned for zombies at launch, but it got delayed, and before it got quietly cancelled. There are some data mined logos for the 4 factions and for the cut concept art. Since we're on the topic of factions, there was supposed to be something called calling artifacts for each faction. But it seems like their collectibles are probably just lore bites if you collect them around the map. For that specific faction, as there's 13 collectibles for each faction. All of them have it. Well, they're only string of code and that's about it, but I'm going to show you some of the artifacts from the text with the show for you. For this one, we have Bloodfaith. For the next one, Dustborn. And the next one after that, the First Legion, and lastly, Tempest Novi. All these artifacts connect to the zombies factions in some sort of way, but we may never know as well they completely cut this out of the game. I'm not sure when the faction system restarted because I think there were some factions in Cold War, but I think I might be wrong. but I think I know there were some factions with some of the gods and Vanguard zombies. You guys can correct me in the comments, but I think that they said that the 4 gods had their own separate plans and that they were doing something with some of the Dark Ether world. That would happen in the future with Vanguard, but I might be wrong in that. You guys can correct me on that. But it still goes to show you that no matter what of how cut it was, they're gonna bring it back no matter what. But maybe one day, as some don't even return at all. And there was supposed to be a cutscene for Alpha Omega. As the mocap artist for Diego and Takio, Travis Wong, he revealed that he was doing mocap work for both characters. Due to the timing of it, it can be presumed work for Ancient Evil and Alpha Omega, but in those later maps, they didn't have any cutscenes or cinematic cutscenes whatsoever. It is unknown what this cutscene was for, and it was probably cut due to early development. An asset called Old Dempsey that was created by Hyman Studios was shown in the early 2019 showcase showing an older version of Dempsey. It is unknown what this asset was used for, but we have the head model and the mesh for it. Probably could have fit in with the zombie storyline with some of the old maps with the cut map of Great War. It could have probably been used for that or something else entirely. Since on the topic of the Great War map where it was cut out, we were supposed to get Crusader zombies, like the one from Origins. These guys were slightly distinctive from the Templar zombies from Origins. We only have the body texture of the Crusader zombie and that was it. There was a planned mini-boss that was cut out from the Aether storyline, and it was called the Brute. There's only concept art of it, and this asset was created by Activision Shanghai, and it would have been debuted in a DLC map, but this was scrapped altogether and was reworked into the Megaton for Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War for Deer Machine. And now onto the equipment, as there was a lot of cut equipments for Black Ops 4. There was one equipment called the Thermite, which is just some old regular thermite grenade, and I'll show you. There's a little video of it in the wiki and I'll show it to you. The thermite grenade was replaced by the Molotov. Well, the Molotov was just a regular old Molotov, was replaced by the Rayfire. Well, those two equipments got scrapped altogether. There's another equipment called the Cluster Grenade, which is just the same thing as the title says, it just shows off a lot of grenades and that's it. This was overridden by the Acid Bomb. Still would have been really cool equipment to have in the game, but probably would have most likely killed you. Another one, a Shock Grenade, which electrocutes and stun nearby enemies, the Concussion, same thing as it is, Flashbang, EMP, Tesla Coil, it is unknown what this was used for, and finally the Tomahawk. And again, there was unknown reason of why these are all cut together, as they're still loadable and some of them still have the commands for them. The next scrap thing, well, it's going to be really a big thing because, well, everyone wanted these 3 perks in Black Ops 4. These 3 perks were Juggernaut, Speed Cola, and Widow's Wine. Remember, Juggernaut, Speed Cola, and Widow's Wine were all cut together from Black Ops 4. Juggernaut for a specific reason as to increase the maximum health, but they didn't want any crutch perks, according to Jason Blunden. And this was a very controversial decision for Black Ops 4 as Juggernaut was everyone's fan favorite perk, and they just end up removing it altogether. But they describe these perks as clutch perks, as for Widow's Wine and Speed Cola they're on the same thing as Juggernaut. They wanted to balance the game and not to heavily rely on these crutch perks. And for Widow's Wine, well, it was replaced by Winter's Wail. And many people were pissed off by the removal of Juggernaut and Speed Cola, but even though Juggernaut was not in the game yet, they increased the health to 200. As well, they were still trying to figure out how to really balance it out between the new health system and with Juggernaut, but they were able to fix it when Black Ops Cold War came out. For Speed Cola, well, that only came out in post-launch, as they did an update that they reintroduced the reload speed buff, but when you get all 4 of the perks. And also too for purchasing the bonus ability for the modifier perk. The thing is, Juggernaut and Speed Cola appeared in the early build of Black Ops 4 in 2018 build, but thank God for Black Ops Cold War and many of the fans outcry that we got Juggernaut and Speed Cola back again. We're still waiting for Widow's Wine as it's completely disappeared off the map. Maybe in Black Ops 6 we'll get to see Widow's Wine. There's 3 cut elixirs that were supposed to be in the game. One was called Board Games, which will fix one board at the barrier and fixes all the board at the barrier at the same time, but you only get the points for the first board repair. One was called Crawl Space, that all nearby zombies become crawlers. And lastly, the last one was called Respin Cycle, which just respins the weapon in the mystery box after it's been activated. I know some of these were in Black Ops 3, but they were weirdly cut out for Black Ops 4 even though they have the remnants in there. There was 2 unused talismans that were supposed to appear in the game. One was called Extra Cluster Grenade, and the next one was called Extra Molotov. Well, since you already heard about the equipment, these were intended for the equipments that were cut out from the game altogether. But all these icons still appear in the game, and some of their code still appears in the game too. And lastly, the last thing that was cut out for Black Ops 4 was supposedly narrative rooms. At one point they were meant to be accessible, but they were weirdly cut off for no reason. In the code, some of the rooms are named Lore Room and Narrative Rooms, and some of the AI bots have movement logic to enter these rooms. These are probably some of the things for the Easter egg, as you could hear some of the cutscenes and dialogue for it, but they were really cut out for unknown reasons. And so that was for Black Ops 4 of all the cut content. This had a lot of cut content for zombies, and there's still a lot of cut content in the regular multiplayer mode. which is really wild because there was a lot of ideas thrown around for Black Ops 4 and they were all cut together in the last minute. But anyways, that's all the cut content for Black Ops 4. Now we're going on to the next game, which is really surprising as some of you may know this, and well, some of you may. I already knew about this. We're going to be talking about Modern Warfare 2019. Modern Warfare 2019. For Modern Warfare 2019, there was supposed to be a zombies mode included in the game, but they scrapped it all together because they want to make Modern Warfare into a realistic feeling type of world and type of universe. And they didn't have the flexibility to put zombies in the game, as will completely compromise the whole feeling of realism and the aesthetic of it. It was planned for Modern Warfare, but only the things that remains about it is the concept art for it. It was scrapped in favor of doing Spec Ops for Modern Warfare, as they wanted a grounded and realistic co-op mode. Apparently there's been several prototypes made before the change of the old zombies mode, but only a few leftover code remain in the game files. And while Modern Warfare got their zombie mode with Modern Warfare 3, I think the whole realism went out the window because I think Modern Warfare Z is canon in the campaign. I might be wrong, but it seems like it is because Soap and General Shepard are in Modern Warfare Z. So yeah, I think you could blame Activision for that, as probably Infinity Ward didn't want that to happen. So that's Modern Warfare just for the zombies mode. This was the next comeback for zombies, and this was for Black Ops Cold War. Black Ops Cold War. For Black Ops Cold War, there was a cut Easter egg on the Outbreak map of Armada. If you swim far below the map, it will cause the map area name to change to Davy Jones' Locker. It only appears in the entire underwater area below a certain depth, but due to continuous water damage, this cannot be seen. But there is a video on it online. And there's also a lot of cut weapons for Black Ops Cold War. Now my other video where I talk about some of the cut weapons, well, they were not included in that portion of that video, as I only went up to Black Ops 4. But since I'm going to talk about all the rest of the cut stuff, it's going to be in this video. But most of these weapons were just placeholder weapons, so I'm not going to talk about them, I'm just going to show you the list for it. As they're just rewording of the gun, and they rechanged them when the game finally released. And also 2 Windows DLC weapons were finally finished and when they released for those each type of season. All these weapons are virtually the same weapons as when they released, so here you go, here's the long list. It's a pretty long list for placeholders, but they're there, and it's just weirdly in the files and that was it. There was no any other cut weapons for the game Black Ops Cold War. But maybe in the future with more data mining and more stuff getting out, we'll probably see more cut weapons and more cut content. But there was one perk that was cut off from Cold War, and it's an old classic, and I didn't even know this as I didn't even notice it, but Double Tap was supposed to appear in Black Ops Cold War. There's only the perk jingle, and that was it. But you can see the Easter egg of Double Tap, the poster for it in one of the maps. I think in one of the Outbreak maps it's called Diesel. But it's the Dark Ether version jingle that could be found in the game files, and we never got to see Double Tap ever again. Another one, game rules, that appeared in the pre-alpha build for Cold War. It's just the same thing as Black Ops 4 that helps something similar with custom mutations and that you can customize some of the meshes. But this was cut out for unknown reasons. And another early iteration of Outbreak, which was called Operation Requiem, was set in the large-scale Ural Mountains map, and was called Operation Requiem. Rather than spawning in different fire teams maps, after every exfil, players would spawn in a singular map area that was sectioned off, and the area would change after every successful exfil. And lastly, 2 things before I cut into section for Cold War. There was 2 HUD icons that were supposed to appear in the game. Samantha Maxis for Dear Machine, and Priyat for In the Dark Ether. Now they can be found in the game files, but that's about it, and they were cut out for unknown reasons, again. But those are all the cut content for Cold War. Now onto Vanguard Zombies, which is arguably one of the worst zombies experiences in Call of Duty history. Call of Duty Vanguard. Call of Duty Vanguard, there was only one cut weapon for it. The Chachin LMG, which was planned to be added in post-launch but was scrapped for unknown reasons. The model of it remains in the game, but no textures of it. But that was the only cut weapon for Vanguard. Now for the rest of the zombies content. Apparently there was an early icon for the healing specialist that exists in the game. There's some voices that have been left over from Cold War. It's just the announcer saying Crank, Jingle Hells, Ho Ho, and Gun Game. There's one unused voice line for Nortis, as he's talking about the wonder weapons.
Gun game. Wonder weapon. I don't have to wonder what it does. Cranked. Jingle.
Now as of so far, those are all the cut content for Vanguard. But in the future, there might be more stuff that might be added to the cut content portion. This game just recently released, which was 3 years ago, and there's stuff that needs to be found still to this day. I mean, there's still people still finding stuff from the older Call of Duty Zombies modes, and probably Vanguard might take a long while in order to find those. And so that's the last cut portion for all the Zombies mode. There hasn't been any for Modern Warfare Z, but in the future, many stuff will probably come out, as that game was really rushed for Modern Warfare 3. So I can predict that there was probably a lot of cut content for that. One day there will be a massive treasure trove. So Call of Duty Vanguard is the last thing I'll talk about for cut sections for a while. And on to the closing thoughts. So this is the last video that covers the cut portion for all the zombies modes around every Call of Duty game. And probably in the future I'll probably go back to the cut content when new stuff gets released. In the future I'm thinking of combining every cut content video into one. You guys can watch it all in one go and have all of the ones in this one perfect selection. That video might come out in the future. But anyways, if you made it to the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and also follow my Twitter, and I have it and link in the description. Still don't know what to post on Twitter, as I really don't like Twitter, as I think it's a toxic cesspool. But you can follow me over there. Anyways, I hope you guys have a nice day. This is Mazer Argo signing out.